All right. So, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And if you are here, chances are you are maybe feeling a little bit irritable. As we know, irritability is probably one of the worst symptoms that is long lasting, it seems like, through the luteal phase. It seems like it's one of the kind of most common ones that people with PMDD can experience. And yoga can really help with irritability. It may kind of seem like, how is it going to make me feel less sensitive? But when we are feeling irritated, we have to remember that that is because we are overwhelmed with stimulation. So when we're feeling irritated, we're feeling as though our body is getting signals, our mind is getting signals that something is wrong or that something it needs to be looked out for. And so we want to imagine that response to stimulation that we're receiving as something that we can do something about, so that irritability doesn't just have to plague us. We can notice that and try to redirect it, transmute it, or transform it. And we always, of course, want to be very generous with our practice, gracious and full of self-compassion, knowing that it takes a little while to get to a place where you're able to observe and kind of move through. So we're not expecting that after this practice, our irritability will be resolved for all of our future luteal phases, but we can take some of these tools from this practice and apply it to our life as we may notice that our irritability is increasing. So if you remember anything about what irritability is, remember that it's a response to stimulation. And so when we're thinking about how we want to actively, or in fact, proactively respond to stimulation, we can think about starting to move that excess energy through us. So for our practice today, we're going to start standing, and go ahead and grab your strap, and you can have your strap just nearby to begin with. And so at the beginning of this practice, we're not really going to have any rules. So start by just kind of shaking your leg. If you want to stand on one leg and shake the other, you can shake both legs at the same time if you want. Shake your arms a little bit, thinking about just letting the body be loose and moving. Don't worry about what it looks like. Pay attention to how it feels. That can include pressing into the shoelace part of your foot and rolling your foot and ankle a little bit here. Noticing the sensation at the top of the foot or in the shin. Going back and forth between each foot, making sure you go clockwise and counterclockwise, maybe cracking your toes. And if this doesn't feel that great for you, notice if you want to return to shaking, letting yourself just be nice and loose. And so we want to think about this time at the beginning of our practice to notice maybe where we feel and experience the sensation of irritability. I know for me personally, I tend to hold it a lot in my upper back. That's where I tend to kind of crunch up because I'm anticipatory or I'm kind of overstimulated and protective. So go ahead and move just a little bit here. You can take some arm circles. You can go both directions. Again, letting this just kind of be a free experience. Starting the practice by coming into your body and noticing what is feeling irritable within me. Where can I move a little bit and be responsive to the stimulation? And hopefully move my body into a place where it is better able to process the stimulation and move through it, not necessarily react to it. So you can roll your wrists and shake out your hands. And don't be afraid to be a little weird. If you want to just kind of shake it out, especially you're at home, you're not being recorded on a video right now, you can make whatever shapes your body is asking for. Just being mindful to move carefully in a way that feels safe as you're going. And so when you feel ready, we're going to come into a little bit more purposeful action. Grabbing our strap here, we're going to actively floss through the shoulders. And so standing with your feet a little wider than your hips, hold your strap out at arm's length, and then walk it in just a little bit more so that your strap stays taut and it isn't loose. Now, with your arms fully extended, we'll inhale and extend the strap up overhead, reaching our hands away from one another. And then as you exhale, slowly lower your strap down behind you. And now the idea here is that we can keep our arms straight throughout. So if your strap is too tight and you have to break your elbows, bending them to come back up, then you probably need to have a looser, a wider grip on the strap through your hands. And so inhaling to come back up overhead, And then exhaling to slowly come back down. Again, thinking about flossing the shoulders, creating some space and openness through the front of the chest, inhaling to come up, and then exhaling to come down, teaching our shoulders to come back away from our ears to give our cervical spine some space. Inhaling back up, exhaling down. Taking a few more rounds here, maybe walking your hands a little bit closer as you feel the space open and stretch. Feeling the pull, maybe even all the way down into your biceps. Let's do one more full round. All right, last time through right here. As you reach up, draw your hands apart. As you exhale down, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Feel the front of your chest open. Last round. Inhale, come all the way back up. Exhale, slowly lower it down. Good, all right. And so take your strap here and you can set it out of the way for now. Let's roll the shoulders a little bit. Hopefully feeling a little bit more spacious in there at this point. And now pressing down into your feet here, go ahead and take a couple stomping steps. And now my husband's office is right below me, so I'm not actually going to stomp myself. But if you are at home in a space where you're allowed to, go ahead and really stomp your feet. Slam the bottom of your feet down into the earth in a conscious way. We don't want to hurt our knees, but really think about pushing any negative energy out of your body through your feet. So you could just squash it right down into the ground. Feeling the contraction of our hips at the hip flexor. And then as you feel ready, press into your feet and bend your knees a little bit, looking down at your toes. Lift all 10 toes and wiggle them into the earth. And then pressing down actively through the bottoms of the feet, bend your knees a little bit more. And we're going to inhale. Keep pressing down as you slowly lift up through the front of your thighs. Continue that inhaling action to allow your arms to extend out, reaching all the way up overhead, feet reaching down, fingers reaching up. And then with your next exhale, go ahead and slowly cross your forearms, taking your hands to the opposite upper or the opposite lower arm. We'll inhale again and lift a little higher through the forearms. And then as you exhale, we're going to tilt over towards the right side, taking our left hand down towards our right foot, big bend in the knees here. Drop the crown of your head towards the floor. Let your right elbow lead now. We're going to inhale, come back up the other way. Keep pressing into the feet, move slowly and purposefully. We have 2 more rounds of our sunflower circles. So exhaling, slowly coming down. Release your head. Inhaling and coming up, a big full body movement here. Lead with your right elbow, and then we'll switch. We'll come down with the left elbow, exhaling. Inhale up the right side. Right elbow leads, come all the way back up overhead. Inhale it up. And then exhale, let's slowly release our hands back down beside us. Give yourself a little wiggle, a little jiggle. Again, thinking about moving anything out of us so that is just not what we need right now. We don't need to feel so over responsive. So pressing into our feet, let's inhale, lift up again, drawing your feet downward as your hands reach upward. And then with your next exhale, take your hands to opposite elbows again here, maybe taking a different cross this time, bringing the opposite forearm in front. We'll inhale again, lift straight up towards the ceiling. And now we'll exhale, lean towards the left. Left elbow slowly takes you down. Bend your knees nice and deep. Release the back of your neck. Crown of the head hangs heavy to the floor. Inhale, come back up the opposite side. Letting the left elbow lead, coming back to the top. And then we'll exhale straight down. Notice the stretch through your side body. Release your head, move with your breathing. Inhaling to come back up. Exhaling, coming down, last round. Inhale, opposite side. Come straight up overhead, extend your forearms high, take another breath in. And then we'll exhale, slowly release your arms, take it down. Take a moment to check in with yourself, wiggling and jiggling, noticing if you've created any new warmth, if the sensation in your body is changing a little bit as we grow more present in what we're experiencing. So now from here, we're going to step our feet out about one of our leg length distances apart, making sure that our feet are on a parallel line here. Look down and check that your heels are in alignment with one another. Your knees are in alignment with one another, and so are your hips. So we don't want one foot stepped way forward. We want to make sure that point A and point B are connected. Now, standing really strong down through the legs, reach through the outside edge of the legs as you lift from the inner arch all the way up through the inner thigh and groin. Now from here, we'll inhale and extend our arms out, coming to our 5-pointed star pose. This is one of my favorite poses of the yoga practice because it allows us to be as big as possible. So extend out through your hands, reaching open through the fingertips. Let the palm of your hand be as big as possible. As you draw the crown of your head up away from the base of your spine, soften your shoulders down away from your ears. Keep pushing into your legs and lifting through the inner thigh and groin. Feel your glutes firm here. So squeeze your booty, thinking about drawing the top of your buns down towards your heels. Keep pulling open through the fingers, pulling open through the chest. Nice and big in your 5-pointed star. Take one more big breath in. And then as you exhale, slowly bring your hands towards one another in prayer position. And then keeping your right arm towards the inside of your body, slide your hands away from one another so that the back of the hands face toward one another with the palms facing away. This is our protection from negative energy, our Shvasti Mudra. And so as we come into this shape, we'll soften through the shoulders a little bit more. Taking another big breath in. And then with our exhale, turn your heels in slightly, turning the toes out, letting the knees fall in alignment with the toes. And then we'll exhale, sitting down into our goddess pose here, pressing the backs of the knees, pressing our knees away from us, externally rotating through the hips. There's a lot going on in this posture, so it's really hard to kind of stay focused in the negative. If it feels more irritating, go ahead and come out. Take another big breath in. And then use your exhale to sit just a little more deeply, feeling yourself sit in your power here, owning this position, pressing any negativity away from you. You don't need it. Take another big breath in. Exhale, slowly lower your hands, bring them to your legs. Inhale, push up. Exhale, turn your feet so that they're parallel to one another again. Slide your hands down your legs, folding forward into a wide-legged forward fold. And now if you can reach your blocks, if they're nearby, you can bring your blocks in front of you, using your blocks to bring the floor a little bit closer. Check that you're not hyperextending into the back of your leg. Bend your knees as much or as little as you need, leaning your weight forward towards your toes. Let your head relax and hang loose. Noticing what you're noticing in this position. Maybe observing how your mind has been talking to you throughout the practice. Seeing if you can redirect your attention a little bit more to the experience of being in your body. Breathing deep into the stretch, into wherever you're experiencing any tension. Excuse me. Okay, with our next inhale, take your hands to the floor if your flexibility allows, or bring your hands to your blocks if that feels best in your body. We'll lean forward towards our toes a little bit here, pressing the floor away with our hands. Draw the crown of your head away from your hips, keeping the back of your neck parallel to the earth. And now with your next exhale, bend your knees a lot. We're going to walk towards our left foot. You can use your blocks here. We'll spin our feet so that they now face towards the short end of the mat. Lower your right knee down to the ground, releasing the shoelace part of the right foot to the floor, and then sink into that front right hip flexor. You can take your blocks into tower height if you need to push the floor away a little bit more. Allowing the right hip to sink to the earth, press the left foot into the ground and draw your heart higher towards the ceiling. Take another big breath in. And then as you exhale, let's slowly fold forward towards the inside of the right foot, taking your right hand down to the floor, line your right hand up with your left foot, pressing into your right hand now. Left hand comes to the top of the left thigh. We'll inhale, draw the crown of your head forward away from your hip. And then as you exhale, slowly turn to look over the left shoulder. You can slide your left hand back to your left hip, thinking about looking along the line of the elbow. Coming into this twist, take another big breath in. And then with your next exhale, slowly lower your left hand back down to the ground, finding both hands on your blocks here. Push into the left foot, tuck the toes of the right foot. Inhale, lift the right knee. And then exhale, we're gonna spin now all the way over towards the right leg, turning 180 degrees to lower the left knee down to the ground. Untuck the shoelace part of the left foot, pressing into your right foot. Inhale, lift up through the heart, shoulders down away from the ears, crown of the head leading up towards the ceiling. Keep sinking into the left hip. Allow the left hip flexor to open up. Deep breath in. And then with your exhale, slowly fold to the inside of your foot, taking your left hand now so it lines up with the right foot. Right hand to the top of the right thigh. Inhale, draw the crown of your head away from the base of your spine. And then as you exhale, slowly turn to look over your right shoulder. You can use your hand to push into your thigh a little bit, increasing the stretch along the left hip flexor. Maybe looking along the line of your elbow, sliding your hand back to your hip if that feels comfortable. Take another breath in. And then exhale, slowly lowering your hands back to your blocks. Tuck the toes of the left foot. Inhale, lift the left knee. Exhale, spin back to center here to your wide-legged forward fold. We'll bring our hands onto the blocks into tower height. Inhale to lift up halfway once more. Exhale, bend your knees, bend your arms, turn your heels in towards one another. We're setting up for goddess pose once more. Push your pelvis forward slightly as your knees press back, externally rotating. Inhale and extend your arms out, reaching up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Right forearm slides behind the left, slowly pushing any negative energy out of your heart, out of your mind. Releasing that which does not serve you. Sink a little deeper. Big breath in. Exhale, sink a little deeper. One more big breath, stay where you are. With your next breath in, exhale, slowly take your hands down to your hips. Inhale, press your hands into your legs, come back up, turn your feet so that they're parallel once again. Exhaling to forward fold, finding that wide-legged forward fold. You can bend one knee and then the other, rock side to side here. You can sweep your hands from foot to foot. All right. Release your head. Coming back to center, let's inhale, lift up halfway once more. Exhale, bend the knees really deep. We're going back over towards our left foot, spinning all the way towards the short end of the mat. Lower your right knee down to the earth. And now find your block nearby. We're going to place our block approximately underneath our left booty cheek as we come into our pigeon pose. So taking your hands onto tower height on your blocks, scoot your left foot over towards the right edge of your mat, and then allow your left knee to move down towards the long edge of the mat on the left. Settle your hips down onto the floor with the right hip flexor facing straight down and the knee and the heel in alignment with that right hip. You can start upwards here a little bit, lifting into this back bend. And if or when you feel ready, feel free to fold forward. Excuse me. Can let the back of the head hang. It's okay if your heel has to come closer to your right groin. Breathing into your hips. Noticing the experience of being still after some challenging movement. Observing if your heart rate has increased or your rate of breathing. And if so, try to slow it down and deepen it. Let's take 2 more full rounds of breath. Making them last nice and long. With your third inhale, press into your hands, slowly coming back up. Adjust your blocks so that you have a little bit more space here, maybe on the medium height. And now we're going to push back towards our right hip so that we can slide our left foot through here. Take your time in this transition. It's not the prettiest. We'll untuck our right toes, lifting the right knee. And you guessed it, we're going all the way towards the right side. So adjust your feet, spin all the way around. Same thing here. Our right foot will now move towards the long edge of our mat on the left. Our left knee can come down, supporting the right side of your bum. Finding your pigeon pose. Sitting tall here. Deepening your breathing once more. Let's use our next exhale to slowly come forward if that feels good for you. You can stay in the back bend if you prefer. Making sure that you're not experiencing any numbing or tingling. If you feel any loss of sensation, you can decrease the extent to which you are in the pose or come out of it altogether. We want to make sure that we're taking really good care of our body, so we never want to lose any sensation. Notice if you can release any tension around your eyes or your forehead. Maybe you want to swallow here and soften the back of the throat, back of the neck. allowing the breath to grow a little more, seeing if you can make the next 2 rounds of breath as long and as deep as is comfortable. With your third inhale, slowly press into your hands, coming back up, using your blocks on medium height here, if that works for you. We're going to travel in a slightly different direction this time. Pressing up, slide your right foot back to meet your left foot here so that your knees can come to the earth. You can move your blanket and your blocks out of the way at this time. Setting yourself up in a low push-up position, shifting forward so that your hips are in front of your knees and your hands are shoulder width distance apart underneath your shoulders. Use your next exhale to slowly bend your elbows towards your ribs. Maintaining control, come all the way down to the floor. Once your chin or your forehead connects to the earth, slide your hands forward so that your forearms are parallel to one another. Check that your fingers are spread nice and wide and that your shoulder and elbow line up, elbow and wrist line up, and that you're actively drawing your hands back towards your elbows as your heart pulls forward into the space between your arms. Pressing into the legs slightly here, lift a little higher through the crown of the head, lengthening the back of the neck. Take another deep breath in. And then as you exhale, slowly lay your abdomen back down on the ground, sliding your hands back beside your chest, pulling the shoulders and elbows in towards one another. Let your chin rest on the ground momentarily. Big breath in, big breath out. Press into your legs, squeeze your shoulders and elbows towards one another. Inhale, rise up into your cobra. You can come a little higher. And then we'll exhale and we're going to slowly lay back down. Slide your hands out so they're off your mat now. Press into your legs, chin can come to the floor. Squeeze shoulder blades towards one another. Inhale, come on up. Coming a little higher if you're feeling comfortable. Exhale, come back down. Think about laying as much of your tummy on the floor as far away from your pubic bone as you can. Last round here, you can move your hands slightly forward. Elbows can stay winged out. Pressing into your hands. Inhale, lift yourself up, coming into your seal pose. Big breath in. Exhale, slowly come down. This time, as you come down, turn the cheek of your choice onto the mat, letting your hands come open beside your hips. Soften your glutes. If you're a glass, you will want to take those off at this time. From this position, observe how you're feeling. Notice any changes in your body and in your mind. Notice how you're perceiving yourself at this time. Do you feel a little more empowered? Do you feel a little more in control of how you feel? More proactive instead of reactive? Feel your belly breathe into the earth and allow yourself to be here for the next few breaths. Simply observing the beauty of your body breathing. I invite you to stay right here if this is where you feel most comfortable. If or when you feel ready, you can slide one hand forward and pressing into that hand, thread the opposite arm through, and then use your top hand to roll over onto your back. You can grab your blanket once again at this time and use it to support underneath your head, giving your neck that natural curve through the cervical spine. Now, as you lay on your back, untuck your tailbone a little bit here. Let your hips release, turning the toes outward slightly. And now we'll take our pinkies together, our ring finger, middle finger, and index finger, keeping the thumbs pointing away from one another. Slowly resting our hands on our abdomen, creating just a little globe here. Resting in contentment, knowing we have done the best we can to observe and proactively respond to overstimulation. We've pushed negative energy away. We have felt the experience of being in our body. And at this time, we can now be with our own being, resting in this space of contentment, using Chaturmukha Mudra, our gesture of four faces, feeling the fingertips gently pressed together. Relax and release into this contentment. And I'll let you know when it's time to return. Slowly breathe in, filling your body with energy, light, allowing you to be ready to transition into the next phase of your day. Allow your next exhale to slowly release your hands, taking them down to the floor, giving your fingers and toes a wiggle. And as it feels appropriate for you, bending your knees and slowly rolling to the fetal position on the side of your choice. Resting in gratitude for just a moment here, feeling so thankful to have this practice, to remind us that our nervous system is a malleable thing, and we can make some effort to have a better time with it, to feel empowered through our practice. Extend your top leg slightly, pressing into your top hand, slowly pushing to a seated position. You can cross one foot in front of the other using your blanket to sit and elevate your hips if that feels best. We'll join our hands together in front of the heart, lifting through the crown of the head, sitting in gratitude once more. Touching our thumbs to the forehead, reminding us to live with an open mind. Touching our thumbs to our heart, reminding us to love with an open heart. It's been my sincere honor to guide you through this practice today. We can acknowledge one another with Namaste. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you feel loads better and that you can take this feeling into the rest of your day, your week, your luteal phase. Sending you loads of love.